Hey everybody, welcome to 10,000 Rows. Today's episode involves the ladder and the roof. I talked about it a little bit at the end of our last episode, but what I'm going to be working on today is replacing one of our roof vents and the refrigerator vent as well. So let's get up this ladder and see what we've got to deal with. I will get out here and replace that guy and that guy and see how that goes, and hopefully even the Dicor around that skylight. Make sure you check for any wildlife before you begin this. You wouldn't want to hurt anything, but with this little guy, I'll make sure he gets out of there before I start this. We don't want that. Actually, let's go ahead and get you moving on right now, little brother. Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead. Go play with my kids. They'd love to play with you. Here, come on. There you go. So it appears the previous owner of my RV, I just took one screw out and I realized there's two more, and I'm not seeing any screws anywhere else. So it looks like he just caulked this sucker down and hoped it would hold, maybe? I don't know, but there should be a lot more screws in here. So maybe this is just going to turn into a horror video and not a how-to video, because so many of the things I've done in this RV do not apply to other people, because fortunately for you, you didn't start out where I'm starting out. And like that, all the screws are out. Two different sizes. Kind of confused here. So the next step is going to be just use a little carpet cutter here, and I'm going to break this seal all the way around, and that should free her up. You just want to be careful here. Obviously don't want to gash your roof, so just go slow. Let's put your little in here, push it underneath, and it's sliding right up. No screws. So that's wonderful. I'm scared to look underneath the other areas in this RV. Just want to make sure there really are no screws. I don't want to yank a hole in my fiberglass. So gently pull her up. And there we go. Wow, that's just really bad. Insane. So if you're watching this and you're in the stage of RV life where you're looking for a new RV to buy, or trying to sort out whether a used RV is the right thing for you and your family, make sure, it was funny, you know, I kind of felt like the guy who owned this thing wasn't the kind of guy who would take care of his stuff. And you know, I'm kind of seeing that here. Whether somebody took him for a ride and did this without any screws, actually 3 screws, that's it, 3 screws holding this whole thing down. It's amazing that there isn't more damage, isn't water damage down in that bathroom. But gonna do my best, clean this stuff off and start again with something new, and you know, hopefully at least now I'll know that it's in good shape when I do it the right way. So now we're faced with this. This has to come up clean, and I would have never known this before, but apparently this is like some of the worst stuff you can use for your RV. Just regular silicone that you would buy at Home Depot. That's why this stuff is highly recommended. It's made for RVs, and this stuff that was on there was absolutely horrible. It's just regular caulk is what it feels like, and then this in here is silicone, which might make sense to somebody who's used to working on the inside of a house, but this is going to be really hard to clean up. The problem is silicone doesn't stick to silicone, so this has to come up. So it looks like some elbow grease today. So really all we can do is just start working on it, scraping her up, get as much out as I can. Again, go slow. You do not want to damage the roof of your RV. Your roof. Oh, a ladybug just flew on me. Look at that. Is that good luck? I think it is. That's a good sign. Scrape it off first, and then we're going to go to town with the mineral spirits to get this stuff off. And I also bought some denatured alcohol in case this fails, and get this stuff nice and clean, because it needs a good clean base to stick to. So I'm just saturating this old cloth with some mineral spirits here and giving this caulk area here a rub down. And this is why you don't use silicone. It's really hard to get up, unfortunately. This stuff works pretty good, the mineral spirits, but it's not working great. As you can see, I still have a lot of scraping to do, and I just want to make sure I don't damage the roof here, the roof of this thing. I don't want to scrape too much, but I do want to get all this caulk up. I have to get it up or it may leak through, and then I have to do this all over again. Just because somebody didn't take the time to do it right the first time. Just be very careful scraping. Obviously, you could do a lot of damage. This is after a lot of scraping, a lot of mineral spirits, and most of it is gone. Feels like most of the silicone is gone. This is still a side I haven't done yet, but it's mostly coming up. But it's tougher than it looks. There's lots of different covers. You have to go over it a lot of times, is what I'm trying to say. I bet if I went over it some more, just the right angle, you see I'm still scraping up silicone. So this is one reason why you never ever want to use silicone. It's really hard to get off. I'm going to try some denatured alcohol shortly to see if that works, because I've read that really helps with breaking down the silicone so you can get rid of it. Alright, so I'm going to try some of this, because this supposedly works really well on silicone, so let's hope she does. Rub it right on there, let it soak for a little bit. So apparently if this had been Dicor, it's just very, very sticky. In this case, it's not very sticky. It's just really hard to get it off. Don't ever use silicone on your RV. So this is my new vent. Got it on Amazon. I will post a link below. But one of the keys when you put this thing in, make sure that the hinge that opens this thing up is facing the front of the car. Because if you accidentally open this thing while you're driving on the road, you're in for a world of pain. So just make sure this is pointed the correct way. Now that we've got this hole all cleaned off, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to dry fit it. Hopefully my measurements were correct. But this should just go right in, and I can do all the electric install and all that later. But yeah, perfect. So it fits right in there. This one, fortunately, has a ton of screw holes. As you can see here, there's lots and lots and lots. So it's kind of why I was a little surprised when I didn't see any at all. I was hoping for more, but now there are a bunch, and I plan on using every single one. The key is just to make sure it lines up in just the right spot. So she's in. And what we're going to do is this package that I bought comes with putty tape. You want to take this putty tape and you want to roll it right over the area where you're going to be screwing this thing in. The corners are, I'm going to just double lay the corners here. Peel off a little bit, lay that down there like that. And you just run the putty right on down. You want to get the corner pieces first and screw those in. And you don't want to screw very hard, just enough so that you feel the metal dimple down. And you don't want to go any further than that because you know, you don't want to damage anything or strip it or anything. But it should go right through the putty, and then sometimes the putty will even squeeze out, and that's a good thing because it shows you got a really good seal. So I'm gonna go like 2 on each side and just kind of alternate sides. So forgive the lengthy transition here, but the battery died on my camera, and I wanted to show you the final product of this roof project that I did. So I didn't realize that I had not filmed the end for several weeks, so you can see how quickly, at least in Florida, these things get dirty. But here is the final product with the vent cap. You can see the Dicor hardened, and it just forms like, it's like marshmallow fluff, but hard, and it just kind of covers everything, anywhere there might be a hole, and just seals it up really well. So that's the vent cap. A lot easier than I thought it would be. A little worried when I opened that hole up in the roof, but not so bad. And now we're going to focus on this guy, which I'm kind of embarrassed to say I didn't even know what this was. When I was trying to find a part to replace this, because as you can see, it's absolutely brittle and falling apart. When I was looking for this, I didn't even know what to look for. But apparently this is a refrigerator roof vent. I was able to order a universal one for, it was dirt cheap. It was like 15 bucks for the cover and like $10 for the base, which we'll see in a minute. But super easy to fix this, or to get a replacement, and hopefully easy to fix this. Just have to figure out how to pop this off without making a huge mess. So I think there's a chance this could be source of the leak that was in my RV as well. If water is coming down this area, that could be causing it too. So we'll see. First thing to do is you pull up some of this Dicor, or whatever it is that they used, no telling, in this RV with me, and expose the screw, and that's what you do for all 4 of those. And they pop 4 screws out and you lift this thing off. So now that I got the 4 screws off, hello, there's the vent cover, or the vent itself, the vent base. This one actually looks fairly good. As you can see, I've already pulled it off, and there were a couple of frogs that I took care of. And we're faced with the same situation here. This does not feel like Dicor, and I don't know, maybe this is even factory installed this way, I don't know, but it's certainly not the doesn't have the feel of Dicor, so I don't know if it works as good. And there are little places over here that seem to have kind of you know, they're not quite as good as they originally were, I assume. But deep down in there, behind this fence, the screen, is where, I don't know if you can even see the little light down there, but that's the area that leaks. And my guess is this is where it's coming in from. So, as normally I wouldn't even mess with this because this looks okay, but I just want to take it off and make sure it's down there nice and tight, because my guess is this hasn't been looked at since 1998, and I want to double check it. So this is what she looks like. It's hard to see in there, but this is the spot where my leak is, so I wouldn't be surprised. This doesn't look like Dicor. It looks like just regular caulk. I don't know, maybe somebody can comment below if this is the norm. This is how they install them. But it was on pretty tight, but in places over here it was pretty sparse, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's where water was coming in. But it's hard to tell. I don't see any obvious water damage or anything up here, so I don't know. I remember hearing drips, so maybe it was just a little bit. Maybe it was this horrible, horrible top that was letting water in. I don't know. But either way, it's going to get fixed today. So I'm scrubbing with this denatured alcohol, and it's working really well. You just have to really give it a good little soak, and whatever this black sticky stuff is on there, I don't know what it is, it absorbs it. This thing rubs it right off, with a little bit of scraping, but the caulk is the hardest part to get off. So she's all cleaned up. I don't know if it's possible to ever get all of the silicone off of here, but I think I did a pretty good job of it. Feels fairly clean. So I'm getting ready to lay down a brand new base. There's the giant box that it came in. It really wasn't much, so kind of excited to put this new thing in. It should make it look a lot better up here because that old one was ugly. Hey there, big guy.
Hello. I'm not cut.
So here's the new refrigerator vent, and she fits nice and perfectly. So again, I'm gonna put down some of that putty tape right over the old screw holes, and luckily this thing comes with new screws, so I'm gonna get rid of the old and use these new guys here. Alright, so the putty is down, and now it's just a matter of dry fitting it over there, making sure all of the screws go down and have putty underneath of them. So you want to check each one and make sure that your screws go through the putty. It's really important. And you want to make sure you get the four corners and then work your way down so that everything stays even. I'm not going to film this. You can use your imagination, and I'll show you when it's all finally complete. So as you can see, when it's screwed in, the putty tape squeezes out from the sides, and that's what keeps the water from flowing underneath. So you want to make sure it looks something like that to make sure that what you're doing isn't just going to allow water down into your area behind your refrigerator. So down there, it's not sticking out as much, but if you can see inside, it's coming in that way. So either way, it's protecting the water from coming through. And then you're going to want to top each of these off with a bead of Dicor, the sealant, to make sure that nothing squeezes in any of those little things as well. So you want to hit each one of these with a bead of caulk, each screw, and then we'll go around. I cut it off at the 5/8 level just because I figured it'll be easier. But each one of these gets a nice healthy coat. Looks like marshmallow fluff. Got a little bit on each screw. We're just going to make a nice fat bead around this, just cover up the tape. So it's a super bright day out here. Forgive me if I squint through this whole portion, but just wanted to show you kind of what we ended up with here. So this is the final refrigerator vent cap, and it was pretty simple. Unfortunately, I didn't really cover this last little section here, but it's super easy. You can see these little dots here of the Dicor. That's really all you have to do. You put this new vent cap down. You can buy them for pretty cheap at an RV supply store, or I got mine on Amazon. I think it was less than 20 bucks. Not positive, but I'll post it here. But it was super cheap, super easy to put on. Just 4 screws, and gave each one a little dab of Dicor at the top there, just to protect it so it doesn't rust. But it was that simple. Spoiler alert for a future episode, or a past episode, I guess, depending on when you watch this thing. But I've got an episode of 10,000 Roads that deals with a mystery leak in our RV. We thought it was possibly the window, possibly the the access panel for the refrigerator on the outside of the vehicle. But again, spoiler alert, if you're following and you don't want to know yet, you'll want to pause this. But it turns out the source of our mystery leak was actually the old refrigerator vent cap. Wasn't thinking of that. I tried a lot of different options. Even created a leak for myself by poking a hole through the wall with one of my saws. So after investigating that it wasn't any of those things, turns out the drip was coming from this thing. This thing was so old, it was literally falling apart in my hands and super brittle. So after replacing this vent cap, I've had no more leaks in that portion of the RV. So problem solved, and haven't had any since. So knock on plastic. Hopefully it will stay far, far away. Don't want any more leaks. So that's pretty much it for our day on the roof episode. We've done a lot of work up here, this refrigerator cap. In a future video, we've got some of the work we did on the skylight. We've got another video on cleaning off a roof. So if you've got a new RV and you want to learn how to clean it off, or at least see somebody else attempt to clean their RV roof, by all means, check out our videos. We've got lots of videos from both the roof repairs and exterior work, interior work, everything from bathrooms to plumbing to who knows what. Still coming up with new things to make videos for because this RV had a lot of work to do. But we hope you've liked this video. We've got lots more videos. Check them out. If you could give us a thumbs up, subscribe, like this video, and leave some comments below. We'd love to hear what you think. Thanks for watching this episode of 10,000 Roads, and we hope to see you again soon. Thanks.